back in our lives. I missed him. He kind of went away for a little bit. I know he's been doing appearances all the time, but we got to see Tommy DeVito again. Tommy DeVito mania for a preseason game. The crowd was electric when this guy stepped on the field, and I said to myself, I said, you know what? Tommy DeVito should be the Giants starter at quarterback in week 1.
So before I lash into you because of your manic opinion on Tommy DeVito, what makes you think Tommy DeVito is going to be better than Daniel Jones? Forget Drew Lock for a second, because he didn't play particularly well, and he even said so. But what makes you think Tommy DeVito is better than Daniel Jones?
Tommy DeVito has the support of the fans. I want to start with that first and foremost. He is the most like a well-liked guy basically by all the fans. They want to see Tommy DeVito succeed. I think Tommy DeVito.
We know the story.
Yes, I think Tommy DeVito has the motivation. I think when he's out there, the Giants move the football. I think he has a lot that we have not seen yet. I think he has untapped potential. And I think when you look at Daniel Jones, a guy that has struggled to stay healthy, a guy that has struggled to play consistent football, I look towards Tommy DeVito. By the way, doesn't mean Jones can't work his way back into the starter. I just think right out of the gates, we don't even know if Daniel Jones is truly fully healthy. Tommy DeVito, to me, looked like a guy last night and last year, T, because I still think the Giants, I don't understand why they benched him for Tyrod Taylor, other than the fact that they wanted to curtail Tommy DeVito mania. I don't see anything that last night that made me think Tommy DeVito can't suit up, be the starter week 1.
Yeah, if you watch the game, if you didn't watch the game, I should say, and you look at his statistics, what was it, 9 of 18, he didn't have a ton of yardage throwing. It almost didn't matter. A lot of that was just, it felt to me like timing issues with his wide receivers. He missed on all his deep balls. One, it felt like the wide receiver was checking up. Tommy threw it into the gap. It was just a miscommunication. The other ones, he was scrambling because there was pressure right up the gut, and so he just basically ran to the sideline trying to create a play and then threw the ball away. But the ones that he did complete, they were pretty good. A lot of them were screens. They were check downs to the running back. He had a great shot across the middle to Theo Johnson. I'm not doubting Tommy DeVito's skill. What I'm doubting is Tommy DeVito's acumen as a starting quarterback in an NFL level to be a starter. I think he can be a backup, obviously. But for him to be a starter, he's going to have to be demonstratively better than Daniel Jones. And that's as the athlete that they require Daniel Jones to be, as the processor of offense and making sure that everything is right. We know Daniel Jones knows all this stuff. Again, Duke guy, been in the system, been in the league for 6 years. He's been in the system for 3 years. Like there's just advantages that Daniel Jones has. And I think the biggest one is that Daniel has an arm. Like he has a cannon. We don't see it all the time because a lot of last year felt like a dink and dunk offense, but we've seen it in practice and preseason this year. Daniel Jones can throw the deep ball. And we know one thing about Brian Daboll as the new play caller for the New York Giants this year. He wants to throw the ball deep. They didn't do it yesterday, but he wants to throw the ball down the field. To me, that's Daniel Jones. I can't see Tommy DeVito being better than Daniel Jones doing that. Can he be a starter eventually? Yeah, maybe. Is he going to be better than Daniel Jones? I don't think so.
888-808-1019. We didn't even get to see DeVito last night with Neighbors, with Hyatt, and Neighbors looked frustrated at times. We'll get to that in a little bit. We will get into how pathetically brutal Drew Lock was last night. We didn't really get to see DeVito with those electric wide receivers on the edge. I just think if you have Tommy DeVito on this roster, and I'll go back to last year, in my opinion, felt like Tommy DeVito was benched because the Giants brass knew they were likely going back to either Daniel Jones or another young quarterback, and they know that this fan base wants Tommy DeVito to be the quarterback. I don't think they had an opportunity to develop DeVito at the end of last year, get some reps. They didn't do that. I saw a quarterback last night that looked poised, that looked like he could play in the league.
Oh, he has confidence for sure.
Has the confidence, has the gimmick, has the fans behind him. We know the fans have turned their back on Daniel Jones, right or wrong, and mostly because of injuries. The organization has too, by the way.
Yeah, I don't think they've turned their back. I think the Giant fan is tired of waiting on Daniel Jones to become the man. You know what I mean? It's not as if they dislike him, because he's almost impossible to dislike. He's one of the nicest guys in the world, and he comes off that way personally and via the screen. He obviously can do it when he's healthy. I think the disconnect that's maybe starting to happen, what you're alluding to, is that the Giant fan is tired of waiting on him to become the guy. Usually, if you are a long-term starting quarterback in the NFL, by year 3, you figured it out. Right? It's not even a question anymore. It's like, are we drafting a guy? Just like the Giants in this offseason we saw in Hard Knocks. Are we drafting a guy? If there's even a question, then you have not established yourself. And Daniel Jones in year 6, going into 7, has not established himself yet. That's why the Giant fan is frustrated with him. I don't think it's they hate him and they're done with him. I just think they're tired of waiting for him.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, and injuries have played a part in that. And let me be clear.
But it doesn't matter the reason. Whether it's the changing of the coaches, whether it's the different coordinators, the different schemes, the bad offensive line, the injuries, like it feels like it's always something. Is it always directly his fault? No. But it's been a long time, and you're just waiting on him to be the man. Think about teams that have quarterbacks, and they know it like 1 or 2 years. The Baltimore Ravens, year 1, definitely year 2. Kansas City Chiefs, not year 1 because they only played a game. Year 2, 100%. You just know. Josh Allen, he kind of struggled his first. Second year, you knew
Even if you want to go love with the Packers.
Love with the Packers. I mean, it took him a while to get started, but once he did, you knew. Even Tua Tagovailoa. Trust me, I have a lot of Miami Dolphin fans, the friends that are mine, and they couldn't stand him when the first 2 years. And then after that second year, you get the right coordinator or head coach, I should say. It's like, yep, he's our guy. Yeah. I don't know if I want to pay him that much money, but that's just what quarterbacks get paid. But you know what? 2-3 years in, he's our guy. Daniel Jones is going to year 7. And it's like, is he our guy? So that's the problem with Daniel Jones. It's nothing to do with his skill, his ability. It's just the fan is tired of waiting.
Absolutely. And the other side of this, too, is you brought that up, and we've all been watching Hard Knocks, and it's been a great series. They tried. We saw this. They tried to trade up to get Drake May. Brian Dable, who's basically telling you now that the Commanders are going to be awesome because he was basically going to drive to Death Valley to get Jaden Daniels on this football team. So they clearly are not high on Daniel Jones. So I go to the other aspect of it as far as the off the football field stuff. This is nothing against Daniel Jones. I think he's a great guy. Tiki, you know it better than I would. Yep. Seems like a great guy. But we are talking about New York City, New Jersey, a blue-collar fan base. The quarterback is from Duke. 95% of us would not be allowed on campus for a campus tour, all right? The guy basically doesn't even shrug his shoulder. At least Eli Manning did that to let us know he was still alive. So there's a disconnect with the fans. Tommy DeVito is a good fellow, of course, one of us. And I got to tell you this. My grandma, she made a great pasta fagioli. I'm just going to tell you that. God rest her soul. Tommy DeVito is relatable, Teak. So if you're not sold on Daniel Jones, put Tommy out there, and you never know what you can get from him, and the fans will love him.
I just don't think that Daniel Jones in year 6 is going to be he's going to be expendable to the Giants. To the Giant fan, maybe. But in this year, which is kind of, I mean, it's another prove-it year. I've said this so many times about Daniel Jones. It feels like every situation, whether it's changing coordinator, whether it's returning from an injury, now whether it's, coming off another injury and proving that you're the guy with a big contract under your belt, or at least in your coffers right now. Daniel Jones has continually had to prove it. This is just another year. And you might be right about the people's choice being Tommy DeVito, but I think the Giants' choice is necessarily Daniel Jones. 5 years of playing and now going to his 6th year, he has the experience. He has the ups and downs. He's had some really good positives. The last thing you want to do is just have to go through that all over again, that learning process with Tommy DeVito. Now, maybe he just finally, steps into it and he's amazing. But I don't know that. You can't guarantee that. And I feel like the Giants need wins. And the best quarterback to give you the chance to win is Daniel Jones.
But they being the Giants, had lightning in a bottle last year. You heard it even from John Mara. He was worried about, Saquon. He was our top merch seller. How are we going to sell tickets? You had something there.
But that's not what they're worried about.
I'm not saying that.
They're worried about winning.
No,
you sell tickets by winning.
No, I get that. But my point is that, okay, you lost Saquon, and now obviously Malik Neighbors is going to be super popular. You had lightning in a bottle, and you decided to bench him. For whatever reasons, I have my conspiracy theory series, but if they thought it was football reasons, Tyrod Taylor was never coming back. So starting Tyrod Taylor at the end of last year made absolutely zero sense. There's no way the Giants could defend that.
Well,
why not try to see what you could get, Teak? You know what I mean? We don't know what Tommy DeVito could be.
Yeah,
he might be great. He might be good. He might be awful. But why can't we see it? And the fans want to see it. So give it to them.
If you were asking me why, because look, last year, despite our view of the Giants and however many games they were at that point, it was 5 wins they had won that when they went back to Tyrod Taylor, whatever the number of wins was.
Yeah, we ended up with 6.
Yeah, the objective was to win football games. We have to find ways to win football games. And last year, as good as Tommy DeVito was in moments, as exciting as he felt, he had clearly the ability. The number of sacks that he was taking was astronomical. 37 sacks. He only played in 6 games, right? Started 6 games, 3-3. It was his record. 37 sacks. And so I think he got benched, maybe partly because of the stuff off the field and the doing all the appearances and becoming, Tommy Cutlets and the cult of personality that was starting to follow him. But I think from a pure football perspective, it was the lack of experience costing them chances to win games because he couldn't get rid of the ball or didn't know how to get rid of the ball or couldn't get himself right to protect himself so that he didn't have to get rid of the ball. Like all those little things that you learn from experience is probably the reason that he got sat down for Tyrod Taylor last year. I don't think it had anything to do, really, at least primarily, with him being this cult personality with New York Giant fans.
Okay, but why not give him more experience and allow him to learn?
Because they wanted to win. They wanted to win.
Now, I'm saying.
No. Oh, now.
Now.
Well,
I'm saying now, Teak. Right now.
So here's the problem with right now. So whatever hangover you had from last season and whatever thoughts you had about your players, the Giants went into this offseason saying, we need a viable backup quarterback. Now, they wanted to re-sign Tyrod, but he got priced out, right? The Jets paid him more than I think the Giants were willing to go. And so I don't want to say they got stuck with Drew Lock, but let's call it for what it is. They kind of got stuck with Drew Lock and this other next tier. And the challenge to signing Drew Lock when Daniel Jones is your starting quarterback, especially after Drew Lock played a little bit, was then you got to pay him. So now they didn't overpay him, but they guaranteed him basically $5 million. Basically $5 million. It's like 4.95 or whatever the heck it is. So he's guaranteed his salary. So the last thing you could do is afford to cut him. So I don't want to. If Tommy DeVito legitimately, and let's put money aside, put experience aside, legitimately is better than Drew Lock, then the Giants have a very hard decision to make.
But they made this, though. Why couldn't DeVito be the backup going into the season?
Because they didn't trust that he was going to be that best of class backup. They didn't trust it. And they needed someone they could trust because of Daniel Jones' injury history. You know what I mean? So they needed someone who, if Daniel Jones gets hurt in week 4, can play the remaining 13 games as a veteran NFL quarterback with experience and can learn and be put on the spot and still be able to exceed. Maybe Tommy can do that, but the Giants weren't in a position to just hope that Tommy DeVito could do that.
See, I disagree. I don't think the Giants want the footsteps and the shadow of DeVito behind Jones. The guy got a standing ovation last night in a preseason game.
Love him.
That's my point, though, Teak, is that we know that
doesn't mean he's going to be a good quarterback.
No, but my point is that the fans don't love Daniel Jones. For whatever reason, they don't love him. So if Jones struggles, they will be screaming and calling for Tommy. So they buried him last year. They brought in Drew Lock, who's whatever, and now they have DeVito at 3. They don't want DeVito anywhere near that starting spot. That's at least how I feel. And I think I speak for a lot of the fans. Get DeVito. Make him the starter. Week 1, the starter. The fans want it. It's not like we have Patrick Mahomes. We have Daniel Jones. Tommy DeVito, everybody loves him. There was lightning in the bottle. There was potential. That game against the Packers.
The fans, everybody loves him.
Yes.
But I know the locker room is fully behind Daniel Jones. Fully.
Do they like Tommy DeVito, the locker room?
I'm sure they do.
I'm sure they do.
Tommy's a cool dude.
He's very cool.
He's
Guy's
awesome.
basically partying in Hoboken. It's like if I'm the quarterback for the Giants. I love this guy. I just think he's so relatable. He's a great story. And I know that doesn't always equate to winning football games, but there was just something special about DeVito last year. And the idea that they paid Locke all this money, and he was just brutal last night. Neighbors was open all night. He couldn't find him. He had that horrible interception. Look, it's a preseason game. Maybe Locke will be all right, but it's not like the guy's had a stellar career here. DeVito could have been the backup. At very least, going into the year, you could have DeVito as the backup. You could have drafted a young quarterback and have a third quarterback as a youngster or whoever. The fact that they did this, to me, just is another sign that they don't want to have Tommy DeVito mania overtake what they're doing, overtake what Daniel Jones is doing. They want no part of it, and I will champion for it because I love everything about Tommy DeVito, and I just think he deserves a real shot and an opportunity
I think
to be this
Tommy
quarterback.
DeVito reminds you of you. So you feel like it's you playing quarterback.
Listen, Teak,
that's why you like Tommy.
Allow me to dream. In my world, this is in my fantasy. Big Tom, of course, Tommy DeVito's father, his mother. In my world, they met on a warm summer night at DJ's, right? Deep V for Big Tom, the big hoop earrings for his mom. It was the perfect blend of, hair gel, cologne, and lip gloss. That's how I envisioned them meeting each other. They made Tommy our future quarterback. Yes, I have a little bit of a Tommy DeVito in me, you know what I mean? I sleep with a nightlight. I lived at home till I was 30. So, yeah, that's a part of it. But I think a lot of fans can relate, and it's a relatability, Teak, that I'm talking about. 888-808-1019 is the number to call. Elliot's in Jersey. What's up, Elliot?
Hey, guys. How we doing?
Good. What's up?
So, all right. So, Tommy, I think you're absolutely insane if they make Tommy DeVito the starting quarterback.
Tell me why.
Thank you.
Okay, here's why. And I'm not agreeing with Tiki because he's my favorite Giant of all time. Here's why. And here's my background. I've been coaching football for 19 years, and I played all the way through college.
Oh, nice.
So,
where do you coach at, Elliot?
Immaculata in Somerville.
Oh, nice.
So, and I'm the defensive coordinator, so just hear me out.
Okay.
When Tommy DeVito won the 3 games he won last year, the Commanders, Packers, Patriots, they played a watered-down version of their defense. Not that it was complicated, but a watered-down version. They were going to see if he could beat them, and he did. But the offensive scheme was also very, very simple. In the games, the Raiders, the Cowboys, the Jets, the Saints, the Eagles, they said, we're coming after this guy. We're going to make him think back there. We're going to get him off the point of attack. And he was terrible.
Right, and he got sacked 37 times.
Right, and the mere fact that he made his first read, it wasn't there, and he had no idea where to go with the ball as soon as that first read was taken away, shows that he is not ready yet to be a starting quarterback.
Hey, Elliot, though. Elliot, can I ask you this, though? Do the Giants have way better receivers this year? Neighbors alone is obviously way better than anything they've ever had. Hyatt, I think, takes the next step. So DeVito would have better receivers this year. They've upgraded the offensive line. They signed Runyon. They signed the Candle from Beauty and the Beast. What's his name? Lumineer. They got a bunch of guys there. They improved their offensive line. Luminor, is that his name? Yeah, the Candle from Beauty and the Beast. So they've improved their offensive line, Elliot. So you don't think that this Giant team, well, let me ask you this first. Is this a better Giant offense, take the quarterback out of it this season than last?
I would say, yeah, it is.
So why can't Tommy be better under center with this type of team with a better offensive line and better receivers? Can he not?
Because defenses are still complicated. When you play combination coverages, man on one side, zone on the other side, and your quarterback still hesitates on knowing where the first read is pre-snap to the second read post-snap, it doesn't matter how good your receivers are going to be. He can't get him the ball. I mean, that was clear. In the Saints, he won 3 games in a row, and then all of a sudden in the Saints game and the Eagles game, he looked like a pumpkin. He looked like he was not even the same quarterback. And all the Saints and the Eagles did was they played man on one side, zone on the other side, and he didn't know where to go to the ball.
Yeah, I mean, you're also talking about the Saints had a really good defense, and so did the Eagles. And I think, look, my argument, too, is that DeVito should have just been able to stay out there, learn, get the experience, take his lumps, figure his way through the NFL. I hear you on stuff like that, but I still think this team is better. Dable, we legitimately now all calling the plays. So I just think give him the opportunity that he wasn't given last year. What am I saying here? Like, most of the Giant fans don't want Daniel Jones anyway. It's not like we're sitting down Josh Allen or Mahomes.
think a lot of Giant fans like Daniel Jones. They just need him to be healthy and consistent. And if he is, then we're not having this conversation at all. Tommy DeVito is fighting for the backup job. We're not even having a conversation. And I don't think, obviously because he's coming off an injury, Daniel Jones has something to prove. He put that in quotes. But I think that this job is his. And I don't think Dave's or anyone in that Giant organization or in that locker room thinks anything other than that.
888-808-1019 is the number to call. Loogie and Lightning here. Tommy and Tiki for Evan and Tiki here. Jeff is in Randolph. What's up, Jeff?
How you doing?
Good.
Loogie,
yeah.
is this part of your shtick?
Well, I don't do shtick. I don't appreciate that accusation.
I love you, but I'm losing my mind listening to this. So I'm going to add to what the previous caller said. Thank you. He's a coach. I'm not. I'm the average Giant fan for the last 40-plus years.
That's good. That's good enough for credentials. You don't have to be a coach.
No, Tiki, thank you. Thank you. I absolutely agree with everything you've said. Tommy's a nice guy, nice kid.
Which Tommy are you talking about, DeVito or?
No. The first Tommy was you. Now I'm talking about DeVito.
Gotcha.
Nice. It's very nice. Go fight for a backup. Go have a great career. Make money. No, it's no way should he be starting.
Why not?
Stop the madness.
You don't know that he could be a starter or not, Jeff. We never got to really see this. He won 3 games.
It's freaking obvious. Are you kidding me? The previous guy who's a coach, said it perfectly. And Tiki has made sense the entire time he's been talking. You're out of your rocker. You're nuts.
You know what it is, Tommy? Did you go down to DJ's this morning?
This morning?
Yeah,
I wish I did.
Did you go do like 6 grails?
No, I lost. Shout out to DJs. Shout out to Fun Anthony. Shout out to DJs. A top 5 spot for me. You could sprinkle my ashes at DJs. Just an amazing spot in Belmar. We always do our kickoff the summer. I'm wearing the shirt. Okay. People say I'm crazy for saying that Tommy DeVito should be the starter in week 1 and should be a starter. But then can I, Teak, at the same time say they're crazy for saying he can't be? Well, how could you point to anything and say he can't be?
The only reason that he would be considered is if Daniel Jones isn't healthy. And Daniel Jones looks healthy to me. And Daniel Jones looks actually pretty good in training camp. I know he's not playing in the preseason. Who knows if he'll get any snaps at all. We talked about this last week. But Daniel Jones is the incumbent starter, and he's going to be the starter. It has been that way since the beginning of camp, and it's going to stay that way until he's unavailable for whatever reason. That could be at the end of the season when they don't re-sign him or they cut him or they trade him or do whatever after the year. He is going to be their starting quarterback. Tommy DeVito is fighting to prove himself as the backup quarterback. He's got a massive hill in that regard because Drew Lock is guaranteed $5 million. And maybe that turns out to be a mistake, but that's just the reality of Tommy DeVito's contractual business situation. And it sucks for him. It really does, because he should have been given a fair shot. I agree with you, to be the backup. I don't think he will.
Yeah, listen, and Lock certainly looked really bad. Look, it was a little bit average. The bad interception. Obviously, he missed Malik all night, and he looked frustrated. We'll get into a lot of that as we go on here. I want to get Tiki's take on the running backs that played for the Giants. We got a lot to do here today on Evan and Tiki. It's Loogie and Lightning, Tommy and Tiki. We're on till 6:30. Yankee game. If you're just tuning in and you don't know this, the Yankees have been rained out already. They're not playing tomorrow. There will be a doubleheader, your traditional doubleheader, starting at 1 o'clock, first pitch 1:05. Craig and Susan will be doing the game. So you got the doubleheader tomorrow with Craig and Susan, and then Sunday also Craig and Susan. But yes, like I said, a lot to get to here. We'll take your calls on the Giants at 888-808-1019. We will get into the Mets. Has Positive Tommy not been undefeated? Forget his whole career. This week, Positive Tommy has just been absolutely on fire. I told you they'd beat the Cardinals. I told you they'd win the series against the Rockies.
Generational talent.
Thank you, BT. I told you they would heat up, and I told you Alonso would heat up. So we'll get into them. The Jets, Tiki's got an interesting take on Aaron Rodgers that I have not heard anywhere. We will get into that. A lot to do today here on The Fan.